Hey, good morning, my neighbors. Welcome to another episode of BYTTT. Before you take the trade, I got a lot of stuff that I got to go over, and it's probably going to be a short video. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it. So first thing we're going to bring up is the fact that NQ is doing some very interesting things. Actually, you know what? Let me just go ahead and save these drawings real quick. That way I have this whole entire thing set. Let's grab that and that. Let's bring that in there. All right, let's lock these away and hide them. Actually, we're going to keep this one. So we talked about what was going to happen with the market as a whole, as we was kind of like trying to figure out where the pullback was going to be and everything else. And then you can kind of see had a nice little peak over here. I don't have the arch anymore because we just had a straight vertical drop. I anticipated I was going to test something around here. So I had a nice little sizable move with that move, especially with that reversal. And then you can kind of see today we're getting a nice little push into what was the order block. I'm looking for a potential rejection here. So let's just keep that in mind and be tempered. Don't just chase. I think we're in the middle of two different type of order blocks. One, the order block that a lot of sellers are looking to go ahead and sell at this level, and they're going to go ahead and get continuation for that drop. And two, the buyers are here and they are pretty much trapped here trying to figure out, can we push and get out of this block. Now when we go over the news, you're going to see why I say that. Next one we're going to go ahead and go over, it is your favorite. It's oil. All right, so CL, again, like I was warning y'all before, as we get to closer to this line, we're going to get a little bit of a rejection. I would not be surprised we break this threshold and get into this order block and probably get this MACD to go into the bearish side. We'll see what happens there. This is gold. Listen, I am not a theologian. I am not no oracle. I'm just a person that draws on the chart and what it looks like, right? And you can kind of see nice and solid wedge. We went ahead and built a nice little base to go ahead and try to take out this top. To be honest, based on how this looks, I would not be surprised we'll break through these pivots. So let's go ahead and mark off some targets. First target is here, second target is here, and third target is over here. So I would not be surprised we'll get above that 3509, but I want to see what these reactions are. 344, sorry, 3044, 3476, and 3509. Those are the levels I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Here is silver. You can kind of see silver is starting to give its reversal, and what does it do? It just drags gold right on up with it. So I like charting out silver. I want to see if it's going to close inside of this fair value gap by the end of the day. If it does, I'm anticipating for silver to get into that 40 and really pull gold across the finish line. Here's the British pound. Like I told y'all before, you only aim for 50% in the move. Had a nice head and shoulders. Boom, boom, boom. And then we got our 50% move, which was right about right here. And that was the level we kind of reversed. And it looks like the market is starting to rally based on that sentiment. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the dollars. We're going to see how that works. Bitcoin. I didn't think we was going to get into that 112. We did fill that fair value gap. I'm anticipating that we're probably going to go ahead and go a little bit lower now that that fair value gap is filled. I want to see how they respond inside of this area here. Come on, get up there. Get down there. There we go. All right, I want to see what they do as far as responding in this area. We're still bullish for the most part, but I didn't think that actually. I didn't think it'll be that much, but hey, you know, that's how the game goes. So that's the downtrend that we're fighting with right now. We're wedging price action. If we can get a nice little cascading move coming out of here, we're probably going to go straight to that 125. So just keep an eye on this downward trend, this micro trend that's trying to beat the major trend. And right here is ES. I have ES in here because I was kind of showing somebody something last week. Let's put the Russell. So here's our Russell. And like I warned about the Russell before, we're going to have a lot of trouble in this area because of order blocks and everything else. If I go down to the 15-minute, you'll kind of get to see what I'm talking about right here. But coming back over to the daily, we had all these trends that was trying to push us down when it was also that you had this deviation, this deviation, this deviation, which is beating the major trend that was built over in April. So I'm not liking the fact that this M pattern could pan out and we could get really deep into this level, maybe even come back to my 800 moving average, which would be about 2076, somewhere around there. And then the last one is our famous and most destructive, and sometimes it's our best friend, and today it is our best friend, this massive drop called the D dollar, right? So after they made their W, again, we always aim for 50% of the move. There's a reason why. Because this whole entire, oops, wrong tool. This whole entire move in itself was basically warning us that this could have happened. Where are you going? Talking about you, right? So this is our move right here, and if we put a 50% area right here, look at what we reject right into that area, and that's what you want to kind of see from your ticker to kind of let you know what can happen. That's what you want to see. It's a W. Measure it. After you measure it, if it exceeds it, it's at its extremes. It has a high probability for a reversal. And that's a massive reversal on the dollar based on the price action that happened. And the funny thing about it, that was Friday. The market was dropping with the dollar. So let's see what happens with August. I do believe we had, what was it, 66% chance that it's going to be positive at the end of the month. We'll see how that goes. All right. So go ahead, pull out a pen and a pad. We're about to go ahead and break down the news, and it is coming in hot. I'm telling you, there's a lot that's going to be coming in this week, and I'm going to be breaking this down in its totality. Like Mondays are always kind of like quiet. We got factory orders, nothing really crazy right there, but this is where I'm talking about balance of trade, global PMI, the ISM. That's going to be tough. 52-week bill auctions. If you don't know how bonds work, this will give you a nice little crash course. Pay attention to 11:30 on Tuesday. There's going to be people that's going to take money out of the equities and put it in bonds because it's going to guarantee this percentage of a return. Is it low? Yes. Low risk means low rewards, but at least it's almost guaranteed. Let's go ahead and keep this going. So we got mortgage interest rates. We're going to find out some more details, especially with Fed not cutting. Oil inventory, 17-week bill auction is going to be in there. Another one on Wednesday, a 10-year note auction. If they're getting out of cash and jumping into bonds, you will see that, especially if that interest rate is a lot higher because everybody's trying to hedge against inflation, right? Then we got jobless claims, non-farm productivity. Well, non-farm payroll was more impactful than this one, but just keep in mind of the initial jobless claims. It's going to just cross over with this. Again, we got 30-year bond auction. Again, back to the bonds, what I was saying before. This is going to be critical. Plus the Fed balance sheet, that's going to go ahead and let us know what if they divested or not, affecting our interest rate. And then Friday, we're going to have very little information. So unlike last week, where Friday was just a little volatile and everything was getting a little crazy, this one is going to be a little bit muted. So keep that in mind. I don't want y'all to overthink this. I just want y'all to plan accordingly. All right. So let's go ahead. All right. So we're going to go ahead and break down the news. And the first one we're going to bring up is this one. Robotaxis are becoming reality. Who's poised to win in China and beyond? I get it. You know, the whole entire world is trying to design. Let's go ahead and pull up Tesla and while I'm doing this. Is being designed around this whole entire thing of robo taxis. No, basically getting rid of the driver, and it's going to affect the industry. And a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, it's destroying my energy, AI is destroying my industry and I don't know how I'm going to make money and everything else. Listen, at the end of the day, pick up another skill. That's it. That's just how I see it. The moment that you're complacent is the moment that you're replaceable. All right. I'm learning other things after doing all types of things. And to be honest, I was in the transportation business as well. And you could kind of see in this picture is the autonomous driving Pony AI. It basically in China. So China's already operating with their AI, and everybody's attacking Tesla. I think this pullback on Tesla is just so that way it can be able to reposition. I think people are going to try to jump into Google for their Waymo and going to try to jump into Uber because they partnered with Waymo. Listen, at the end, the one that has all the data and has the much safer version of it all, I'll put it Tesla as 1A, Waymo as 1B. I don't think you go wrong with either one, but the reason why Tesla gets a little bit of an edge is because at the end of the day, they were designing it for total and autonomous driving. I think there's a lot of catch up that you got Waymo going, and then that's why that partnership with Uber to get some of that data is going to come into play. So we're going to see how this works. Anyway, moving on. We got a couple other things I want to cover. We got this one. Haven't seen this one in quite a long time. I don't remember the last time I charted CRM. But you can kind of see in this chart, it's kind of wedging as well. Now, they've experienced a lot inside of AI as well. Goldman Sachs analysis is saying they're raising it by $15 to $340. Look, again, everything surrounding AI needs a pullback. I think we're getting that. Everything surrounding AI will be the mainstay and the one that's going to be probably pushing our economy. Keep that in mind. Salesforce is one of the first ones to kind of implement that using what? Watson AI. Who developed Watson AI? IBM. So just keep that in mind when it comes down to it, that when you're dealing with these AI companies, just understand there are going to be some difficulties. Salesforce beats on top and bottom line. So what do you do with that? If they're beating their earnings and they're doing what they're supposed to do and they're doing everything that this is what you want to see. Now they got earnings that's coming up in the middle of August, roughly around August 20th, and this is their estimates. If we're looking at that and keeping ourselves as objective as possible, we're not getting our emotions, that AI is taking our jobs, like they're probably going to take my YouTube channel. Like there's going to be these AI influencers. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just position yourself on where money is going. That's how you protect yourself, and that's how you hedge against inflation. Let the pullback happen, and then jump in where necessary. Salesforce is a real good company too. They've been doing it for a while. All right, let's go ahead and get into our last topic. Our last topic is this one. Bank America, and again, take this with a grain of salt. Listen, I'm not that's one that needs autonomous at this point. Autonomous building, autonomous everything, because this thing is just the craziest thing. Raises Boeing price target following aerospace giants solid earnings print. Right? If you know how we treat earnings on Boeing, so do not just go running after this ticker. But you could kind of see it is solid. That's what you want to see, an extra 11%. It's always a negative EPS. You do not buy into this company. You just know at the end of the day. Excuse me. This company has a negative EPS because at the end of the day, that's not what you invest in. They do not pay a dividend. I think they removed their dividend a few years back. I think they had one. Yeah, they had it, and in 2020 they got rid of the dividends. They haven't brought back the dividends, and it's just kind of been stagnant. They've had a lot of issues. They've had doors flying out of their planes. They've had crashes. They had to pull one of their number one product, which is their newest product, for failure of proper safety protocols. They've had every type of thing. But just like most roaches that get destroyed during a nuclear holocaust. They ain't going nowhere. It doesn't matter how radioactive that this ticker can be. Hold on. Why did that not signal? Okay, it did signal. Okay, right. So to wrap this all in a bow, a ticker like Boeing, looking like a nice little pop-up that we're getting right here. We're probably going to get some very, very strong impacts in that regard. So we want to see this turn into something really, really positive, especially that they try to fill this gap. You see, we almost got all of it. So we're going to see, can they fill this gap? Are they going to pull this back? We're crossing the 200 across the 800, so this could be another take, but watch out for bearish divergence. Let this play out, and then we'll probably get another push to the upside. All right. So I think we covered everything on the news. Let's go ahead and get into what's coming up for the earnings. So, first off, we got Wayfair. This one's earnings is coming up this morning. Today's 4th. It's coming up this morning, and you could kind of see this thing has been pushing. The community took a nice little pop to the upside on this one, and you could kind of see this is like really, really, really solid that you want to kind of look from a ticker. The histogram divergence is not a good sign, so I'm thinking that they're going to possibly beat and still fall, or they're going to miss and fall really, really hard as most recent investors price stepped into the plate. So just keep that in mind as that earnings kicks in. Now, here's the fun thing about this though, is that I think after their whole entire scandal that made them drop off from here, I think the only way that, and then again, I might be completely wrong, I think the only way they're making money on this ticker is because they probably got such a crazy mailing list from all the people that bought the Wayfair in 2020. And now they're finally turning a profit off of all of that. If we got 4 weeks, 4 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, or we're on our 4th month of potential continuous upside. I would love to kind of see, can we get inside of this zone? That means Wayfair would be getting to $100, and I don't see anything wrong with that actually happening. If my thing would show them at least, right? So this is what I'm curious about. Can this work out? If this can work out, that would be relatively great. Center pivot is about $96, so Wayfair to 96 would be probably a solid contract. Wait for the earnings to kind of report to be able to position that. The next one is Palantir. Now Palantir has been on a tear and it has not even relaxed. A chill pill. I really was going to get in roughly around at 150, but I was like, let me see if we can get a nice little break of a trend line, then I catch the next pivot, and they decided to kind of push that bad boy right back up. That's when we got into that 150, 154. This was the pivot at 145. I wanted something deeper. I wanted it somewhere down here, or I guess they went back to structure, but still, I think this is just too high. Bearish divergences are all over the place. I want to see this pull back, and then we'll see where we go from there. Currently, pre-market is up on 157, and you can see that monthly is crazy. It is crazy. Anyways, let's go ahead and keep this going. For tomorrow, actually, this whole entire week is stacked. There's so many, I couldn't even pick which one I wanted to go ahead and put on my list. So let's start with Marriott. Marriott, strong company, looks like an M pattern. I think hospitality is just getting beat up right now as a whole. They do return money to shareholders. They do pay a dividend, not much, and they do have earnings that was solid from last quarter, and we're looking for this to kind of continue on that regard. So let's see if that follows suit. If they miss, then this downtrend is warranted, and we're probably gonna go into the bearish state, maybe get into the 227s, maybe around 242, but 227s is attainable because 221 would be the bounce off my 800. PFE. If you all remember this company, They've been all over the place. You already know for Viagra and everything else, but the bigger problem is back in 2020, they were in the COVID arms race. And because of their shares floated, this one was a very tough one to hold on for upside, unlike Moderna and Regeneron. And you can kind of see we're back to normal statements. Again, when I mean normal, I'm talking about they haven't had much for a product. Viagra probably helped them to get to here, and in 2018 and 2019, and of course the pandemic is part of the downtrend because they are already on their way down. So until they have a new product, I think this is what you're gonna deal with. I know their patent is probably over. Yeah, I don't think they have any new products listed. Tariffs, that's not gonna help. Yeah, I don't think they have anything in their pipeline. Hence the reason why it's a $23 stock. Let's see what their dividend says. Let's see if we can. Not bad. Not bad for this company. 43 cents off of a $23 stock. I think this is not bad. So possibly dividend play. You know what? Let's go ahead and put this bad boy on the board. As I'm always looking for some type of dividend play. Where is my dividends? It's inside the earnings run. And let's just go ahead and put you down here at the bottom. All right, so that's PFE. AMD, let's go ahead and put that in there. I got Dow in there. And then they went ahead and announced that they're going to get rid of the dividends. Toppy, pulling back, needs to pull back. Got new crosses. I would love to see what happens when it touch 142. Let's see which one comes first. Do they go to 142 or does it come up to it? And if it does, I would say probably like 160, 150, and it probably give us that bounce. I like AMD for competition against NVIDIA because Intel is out of the window. So they're done. I don't see anything with Intel. Look at this chart. This is just terrible. This is just terrible. Like you lost 1,000%. 1,000%. You can't return money to shareholders in your 11 billion company. I don't care that you found me money. You just have bad management skills. They are putrid. And it's a damn shame for somebody that had the whole entire market share. So I'm always trashing Intel. Anyways, AMD looks like this. Let's go ahead and keep on. SMCI. Let's talk about real semiconductor companies. This one has a nice little push to the upside, of course. Growth stock, no dividends. Oh, split. When did this happen? 10-1 split. Okay, Supermicro. All right, so we got a nice little push that's probably going to get us up there. They are missing their earnings. This is why you don't see them like the NVIDIAs and AMDs. 44 cents to their shareholders is what they're looking for. They were at 31 over here, so they're saying they're going to beat it this time. Let's see if they do. Almost $6 billion in revenue. Let's see if they can beat that. And if they could do both, that would be great. And if they could find more revenue, oh my God, that would be just insane because they got beat up before. So look out for the Bears because that will destroy them. All right, AMG and MGen. I don't think they were part of the arms race during the pandemic. Yeah, I don't think so. A good company. There's a couple things that you probably know. Actually, let me see. I think this in their list here. Let's back. Okay. I wish I had some of their products. You've probably seen their commercial. I wanted to list their products, but biotech company that is engaged in discovery, development, manufacture, and market of human therapeutics. Now, the difference between this one is the fact that their share float is 536 million. Meanwhile, you got companies like Pfizer out there that has a share floated of 5 billion. So it's kind of hard to kind of move this bad boy around. So that's why when you get some companies like MGen and BMY and all of their prices are a little bit higher, is because they are really pushing to that upside. They do pay dividends, which is not too bad. Could be better, but it is a $296 stock, so that can get a little tricky. So just keep that in mind. All right, and the last one is Upstart. Now, Upstart had made me very mad, and we're probably going to reposition ourselves inside of here if this thing can build a base. But right now, it's just, I don't know if I want to carry anything over earnings. I wanted to blast past 80, 85, somewhere around that ballpark, and get into like the hundreds and 110s. But I needed at least 90, and it peaked out at like 85. So it's making me concerned that there's something wrong, and people that are in their position is using this area to sell off. Can we gap up? Absolutely, but I just wanted to lock in my profits on my small position and see it from the outside. All right, so that is Upstart. Let's talk about the earnings cycle. We're going into month number 2. So let's see. We got ourselves Disney. Disney is going to probably give us a nice little report. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on this week. W pattern, they're trying to break through. They're probably going to use the earnings as a catalyst. The dividends is not great, and you know, at the end of the day, it's Disney. They're going to do their job. Another one that's in here, CCJ. We already know they gave their earnings. I like this ticker because I think we came back to this trend line and that we could probably get another push onto the upside. They did report towards the end of the month. Normally they do in August. So we're going to see how this responds. I already covered Wayfair, Oxy. Now, Oxy, on the other hand, I think with Berkshire being one that is deep inside of here, and Berk B is still falling. Like this thing is just not relaxing. Their earnings cycle, they lost 31%, which is not normal for a Berkshire Hathaway. So this is going to be very interesting. Back to that, give you a perspective. See that? See that? Last time they missed back to back was a drive because of the pandemic, right? And then right here was the pandemic, and then right here. But normally they usually stay in line. Come on, give me right. That's it. That's all the earnings. Normally they stay in line. 2017, 2018 was the chaos, especially with what was going on with Jay Powell and Trump fighting. Like, it's just, that's one way that they could. But right now, could this be a signal that the economy is a little bit struggling? Are they suffering a little bit? Actually, you know what? Let me get to see that financials. I want to see if their cash, because normally I can gauge it by their cash flow. No, their cash flow is down. What I would like to see from this earnings that's going to release somewhere in the, actually this was August 1st. Okay. So what I want to see on November, because right now we're just going to have to gauge and see what the chart happens. Their cash flow has decreased. So that means they're coming off of money that they normally keep so that way they can do acquisitions. If that is the case, then that means he's not sitting on cash. That means he's probably positioned himself in something to go ahead and recover. Again, he has not stepped down yet. He's planning on stepping down. So we got to see what's going to happen. A lot of this drop off is because he announced that he is going to take a relative break. And I think it's well in doubt. His best friend is gone and partner. So, hey, congratulations to a guy that made 5,000% for Berkshire. So going back to what I was saying earlier with Oxy, they have a sizable position in oil. I don't think they divested out of oil, but if you kind of see this chart, especially with the golden cross and everything's kind of pushing down, it looks like a bear flag a little bit, but we're going to see how this earnings later on this week hits. They do pay dividends, not great, but again, I don't care for oil too much, so just remind yourself of that. Okay, kind of get a recap. Netflix is still falling, and I do believe that it needs this. I was thinking 1,000 is the lower register. I did think we could bounce off of here, and we're starting to. Can we start to put a little bit of a run to the upside to put some pressure on the bears to kind of short us back at 1,300? Maybe. But this thing has to go ahead and break this micro trend that is trying to put pressure on a major trend. Another one I'm gonna look at eye for is Lockheed Martin. It doesn't look good. Another one that's just losing money. At the end of the day, not a fan. Northrop, yeah, NOC. This one is probably a good replacement if you're trying to get out of Lockheed Martin and you want to get into the aerospace and defense side and you're looking for a good company. This is one that's probably stealing the market share away from Lockheed Martin. So just keep that in mind. T-Mobile, another recap on that. I was looking for it to kind of hold that 237 inch. I knew it was going to pull back a little bit. It's kind of far away from what I'm looking for. Probably going to pay dividends and then drop again. But that means that T-Mobile is probably going to push to that 200. I want to see that 220, 225, somewhere around there before I consider upside. And that's what it looks like it's doing now. And that's pretty much it. So that said, let me go ahead and let y'all enjoy the rest of your day. I want to say thank you very much for participating with BYTTT. Before you take the trade, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. That way the algorithm can give me credit for everything that I normally do. If it's good content, go ahead and like it. If it's bad content, dislike it. Do the thumbs down, send me a comment, tell me what I can do better, and I'll make sure to adhere to those comments. That said, thank you. I appreciate y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Have a great day.